You know that feeling when a question just pops into your head and you have to know the answer? Well, how do you actually find that answer? Today, we're going to break that down. We're talking about the path from curiosity to actual knowledge, kind of like an investigator on the hunt for the truth.
Right? That's the real question. How do you go from just a hunch, an I wonder moment, to something you can confidently say, I know? And look, it's not just about getting lucky with a search online. There's a real, deliberate process behind it, a method that turns a wild guess into a solid conclusion. So how do we make that happen?
So what are we really talking about when we say research? It's definitely not just a late-night internet rabbit hole. The key here is that it's a systematic quest. I really love that phrase. It feels active, right? It's like you're a detective on a case, carefully piecing together clues, not just to find some answer, but to uncover what's really going on.
Okay, so let's really dig in and ask, what is research really? Because, spoiler alert, it's a whole lot more than just looking things up. The magic word here is reliable. The entire point of going through a formal research process is to make sure that what you find isn't just a fluke, or your opinion, or some random coincidence. It's about following a clear method so that you, and anyone else for that matter, can actually trust the results. It's the difference between just guessing and really, truly knowing.
All right, so every investigation needs a purpose, right? Before you even start looking for clues, you got to decide what your main goal is. Are you just exploring a brand new idea, or are you trying to fix a specific real-world problem? Let's look at the two big approaches.
Okay, so on one side, you've got basic research. This is all about discovery for the sake of discovery. Imagine a scientist 100 years ago asking, how do atoms and light actually work? There's no immediate goal to sell a product. It's about understanding. Then, on the other side, you've got applied research. This is all about solving a problem that's right in front of us. An engineer asking, hey, how can we use that weird light atom thing to read information off a disk? One builds the foundation, the other builds the house on top of it. And that's exactly what happened. Basic research into light led to applied research that gave us the laser. You need both.
So, no matter which path you take, basic or applied, you're gonna need a map, a blueprint for your journey. And in research, that's the process that keeps your investigation logical, thorough, and most importantly, leading to a conclusion you can stand by.
See, every successful investigation follows this kind of blueprint. It's what makes the journey make sense and what makes the results trustworthy. It's a series of stages that just build on each other, one after the other. So let's walk through them.
Here it is, the blueprint in action. First, you've got to identify the problem. What's the mystery you're trying to solve? Then you review existing clues, which really just means you see what other people have already figured out. From there, you formulate a hypothesis. This is your educated guess, your testable prediction about what you think is happening. Next, you design the investigation. This is your game plan. Only then do you actually go out and gather evidence or your data. And finally, you bring it all home. You analyze and conclude. See how each step just flows right into the next? It's a logical path.
Okay, let's zoom in on that very first step, because it is absolutely critical. Before you can even think about finding an answer, you have to know with crystal clarity what the question even is.
I mean, think about it. Every great quest starts with a clear problem to solve, a mystery to unravel. This is the bedrock of your entire project. If you have a fuzzy, poorly defined problem, you're just going to have a confusing investigation and get messy results. But a clear, sharp problem, that gives you direction. It gives you purpose. It's the X that marks the spot on your treasure map.
So, where do these problems even come from? It's a great question, right? They don't just pop out of nowhere. They come from the world all around us, from our own curiosity, and from the work that other researchers have already done.
And as you can see, these problems can come from all over the place. Maybe you find a gap in a theory that everyone else seems to have missed. Or it could be a super practical real-world issue, like a local hospital trying to figure out how to cut down their ER wait times. It might even start with something you just notice on your own, looking at the world and thinking, why does it work like that?
All right, so you've got your problem area, your general mystery. Now you need to forge the tool that's going to unlock it. And that tool, that master key for the whole investigation, is your research question.
And this difference is so important. The problem might be this huge, massive territory, like, say, declining bee populations. I mean, you can't solve all of that in one go, right? The research question is the specific target on that map. For instance, what is the specific effect of neonicotinoid pesticides on the navigational abilities of honeybees? You see the difference? It's focused, it's specific, and crucially, it's something you can actually answer.
So a really great research question has these three things going for it. First, it's got to be clear. No one should be confused about what you're asking. Second, it's got to be focused. You're not trying to solve world hunger here. And third, it's got to be arguable. And what that means is the answer isn't some simple fact you can just look up. It needs a real investigation to figure out.
So how do you actually make one of these master keys? Well, you can think of it like a funnel. You start really broad with a general topic, like urban transportation. Then you narrow that down to a more specific issue, something like the effectiveness of bike lanes. From there, you just brainstorm a bunch of initial questions. And finally, you pick one and you refine it. You polish it until it's sharp, focused, and ready to guide your entire project. And really, when you boil it all down, that's what this is all about. Being a good researcher isn't about already having all the answers. It's about getting really, really good at asking the right questions. Just like this quote says, a well-crafted question, well, that's where all knowledge really begins. It's the engine that drives everything forward.
So look, this blueprint we've walked through, it's not just for scientists in white lab coats. It's a powerful way of thinking, a tool for solving problems, and for turning your own I wonder moments into real, solid knowledge. You've got the map. You've got the key. So the only question left is, what are you going to discover?